Thank you so much. I have to tell you, it's easy when you have an issue you want to talk about to say yes to. So we couldn't be happier to be here today and talk about an issue that is so incredibly important. Criminal justice reform has been a priority of mine since very early on in my congressional tenure. Last year in Congress, I co-sponsored and co-introduced numerous bills, some of them comprehensive, others a little more simple, and some that are a little bit more tailored to the issues that we have to address. It would help our justice system take a smarter approach to fighting crime and changing behavior. This Congress, I've continued to work and look forward to the day that we can see some changes finally implemented. I have to tell you how frustrating it's been for me. Neither Chamber of Congress has actually brought forth criminal justice reform legislation, especially because it's got such bipartisan support. I have to tell you, the first press conference I ever did coming here was on criminal justice reform, and it was think tanks from the very left to the very right of the political spectrum were all there in support of this very important issue. As you can see from today's event, so many people participating, this is obviously something that we can find common ground on. I think that we should take advantage of bipartisan issues in Congress, especially because there's so much that divides us. I think there's actually a lot more that we can do together that binds us together as American people. And if we actually focus on those issues, we'd get a whole lot done. If you see the vast majority of people in prison, a lot of them will be released to return to our communities. They will return to a hopeless situation, and we have to ask ourselves: is this situation going to continue to be hopeless for them, or will people have the opportunity for redemption? Will their time in jail or in prison be a positive, transformational experience, or will it create bitterness and create this revolving door that leads in and out of prison? In short, we have to ask ourselves, do we believe that people are assets that can be developed or liabilities that need to be managed? I think that we simply cannot afford, morally or financially, to restrain our human potential. One of my constituents told me about his daughter, who entered the juvenile system as a teenager due to drug use. This young girl could have done anything and been anything. And I still think that she can be. But since her initial entry, she has struggled to find success and satisfaction. Why? Because first of all, she was actually sentenced because of the minimal sentencing requirements, where the judge wished and hoped that he could have worked with her, because her issue was so minor that it wasn't anything that would have prevented her from going on, and she just needed a little bit of a boost. And certainly the time spent with her parents and with role models was better than the time that she spent in prison. Entering the juvenile system and entering the criminal education system, is what I call it, was very difficult for her. And so she has spent years going in and out of that revolving prison door that we talked about. As a mother, you can imagine how that would break my heart, and how there are times where our children find themselves in situations that it's very difficult to get out of, and all they need is someone to believe in them, to help steer them in the right direction. And we are part of actually making their lives a lot worse than it could have been. Unfortunately, her story is not unique. And the problem is not small. Millions of Americans have criminal records. A recent estimate places that number of felons in the U.S. at or above 20 million. Given the implications of criminal record, that means about 6% of our country or more has no chance of upward mobility. If you think about that 6%, it's a lot bigger than that, because we're talking about people who could be contributing members of society, how much that affects the people that are around them. A lot of women especially have children, how that affects their children's lives and how they're able to grow up. It's a snowballing effect that we have to stop. The families of those incarcerated or the criminal records, the vast majority of these may be men, but that means that millions of women are raising children on their own. As for a growing number of women going to prison, the majority of those women are mothers. As you can imagine, the adverse effects on our children are absolutely devastating. So the cycle continues from generation to generation. We must break the cycle. There's a poet by the name of John Greenleaf Whittier who once wrote, "Of all the sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these, what might have been." We can't keep asking ourselves the question of what might have been. I think that that's beneath us. We can't afford to continue to have a significant portion of our countries living outside of the light of opportunity. We cannot afford to allow our children to be continue to go through this revolving door of criminal education, which we call prison. So I think that's why we're all here today, because we all realize that we have a part to play in all of this. We all realize that rest is not for the living, that all of us, no matter what we're doing, have an obligation to care for those who cannot care for themselves and be able to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, or at least give them the opportunity, for crying out loud, to stand on their own. So, I pledge to continue, if you will pledge to stand with me, I pledge to continue to push for reforms that save lives at all stages of growth and development, and to show the world that we, the United States of America, is truly the land of opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and to be part of such a great cause. I look forward to speaking to you a little later. Thank you.